I recently read the book, Grit by Angela Duckworth. Angela's a psychologist at the University of Pennsylvania, and she's obsessed with finding out the answer to the question, who's successful and why. She has conducted studies involving national spelling bee champions, elite military training graduates, and top corporate salespeople to determine the biggest predictor of their success. She wondered, was it talent or was it effort? Society leads us to believe success relies on natural talent. We tend to marvel at natural talent and overlook the importance of effort. Surveys show that we commend people who put in the effort, but don't honestly believe it can compete with natural talent. We often discount our abilities when going up against people with a higher IQ or who appear more naturally gifted. However, Angela has found the following truth in study after study. Where talent counts once, effort counts twice. Angela explains this using a simple formula. Talent times effort equals skill, and skill times effort equals achievement. When you apply effort to any base-level talent, you get skill, and when you apply effort to skill, you get achievement. Extensive research confirms that sustained application of effort towards a long-term goal is the biggest predictor of lifelong achievement. This can be an uncomfortable truth for those who use their lack of talent as an excuse for not trying. For others, this truth can be empowering. You are not doomed to mediocrity simply because you lack natural talent. With consistent effort, you can achieve remarkable things. Of course, there are limits. Not everyone can make it to the NBA, but almost anyone could work hard and become a top player in their local basketball league. By reminding yourself that while talent matters once, effort matters twice, you can hold on to the hope that you are capable of becoming more than you ever imagined. But being gritty is hard. Resisting endless temptations to quit or experiencing failure is extremely difficult. Thankfully, Angela Duckworth says we can grow our grit by directing our focus in 4 specific ways. First, develop a fascination with what you're trying to do. Second, strive to improve each day. Third, remind yourself of the greater purpose. And fourth, adopt a growth mindset. Charles Darwin admitted to not having great quickness of apprehension. To discover the mysteries of natural science without possessing supernatural intelligence, Darwin developed an obsessive fascination and was said to keep questions alive in the back of his mind. Questions related to what he was observing that drove him to discover the connection between all living things. His deep interest in the natural sciences and constant questioning led him to the breakthrough that we now know as the theory of evolution. So, what questions do you find the most fascinating? To find fascinating questions that will grow your grit, try exploring 3 key areas: early struggles, deepening interests, and inspiring individuals. Growing up with a stutter drove me to obsess over improving my speech and mastering communication. That challenge has shaped my curiosity for decades. What past challenges have shaped your curiosity? Questions related to your early struggles can often become lifelong companions that sustain your passion. Fascinating question domain number 2, deepening interests. Some interests spark brightly but quickly fade, like fireworks. Others smolder steadily, growing into an unstoppable force, like wildfire. For me, the idea of fatherhood began as a mild curiosity, yet the more time I spend as a father, the more deeply I'm driven to learn how to be the best dad possible. Reflect on the interests that have quietly intensified over the past decade. These are often the foundation for grit. Fascinating question domain number 3, inspiring individuals. While many people excel in their fields, only a few truly inspire you. Who are those people? And what about them sparks your fascination? Pondering questions surrounding their mindset and methods can fuel your motivation and sustain your grit for years. By examining these 3 areas, you can uncover the questions that flame your fascination and grow your grit. Next, aim to improve yourself every single day. Compete with who you were yesterday. Olympic gold medal swimmer Rowdy Gaines once said, "At every practice, I would try to beat myself. If my coach gave me 10 100-meter swims one day and asked me to hold it to 1 minute and 15 seconds, the next day, he would give me 10 100-meter swims, and I would try to keep it to 1 minute and 14 seconds. Angela says, the refrain of all paragons of grit is that whatever it takes, I want to improve. It doesn't matter how excellent they already are. So how can you carve out time each day to push your abilities and seek constant and never-ending improvement? If you're not sure, do this. Start by isolating one part of a skill you want to improve. During key phases of Tiger Woods' career, he'd dedicate an entire day to getting just 1% better at one aspect of his game: driving, approach shots, short game, or putting. You can do the same. Break your big skill into smaller pieces and zero in on one sub-skill. Then increase the speed and quality of your feedback Don't waste 20 minutes struggling aimlessly and then get a long list of everything you did wrong. Instead, focus for 20 seconds. Get precise feedback on one thing and refine. Repeat this process until what once felt clunky starts to feel smooth. Finally, make your practice sessions so intense that more than an hour feels impossible. Start at a manageable pace, then gradually ramp up the challenge. Push yourself to the point where you need a nap afterward. The goal is not just to go through the motions and hope you improve. It's to engage in short, focused, and deliberate sessions that leave you better than you were yesterday. The third way to grow your grit is to remind yourself of a greater purpose. Angela surveyed 16,000 adult Americans to determine what was a greater contributor to grit: obtaining a feeling of pleasure or a greater sense of purpose. She found that people on the upper half of her grit scale experienced a similar level of pleasure in what they were doing, but she found that higher levels of purpose directly correlated to higher levels of grit. Angela says the most gritty people see their ultimate aims as deeply connected to the world beyond themselves. You could be a bricklayer simply laying the bricks for the wall of a cathedral, or you could be a bricklayer building the house of God. You get to determine what purpose or greater meaning your work has. Whatever you come up with has the capacity to raise your level of grit. When you find yourself struggling to connect what you're doing to a greater purpose, think in terms of when and who. Whatever task you're doing, think about the skills you're building and when those skills will generate new opportunities in your life. Perhaps the problem you're working on today and skills you need to solve it will become the foundation for a successful business 3 years from now. Now, think about who benefits from the ripple effect of your effort today. Maybe the business you're going to build with the skills you're honing now will provide a dozen employees with the resources they need to support their families. By grounding your actions in when and who, you'll find deeper motivation and purpose in the steps you take today. The last way to grow your grit is to develop a growth mindset. Bill McNabb, the past CEO of Vanguard, the world's largest provider of mutual funds, interviewed leaders within the organization to see who were successful and who weren't. He found that long-term success was dependent on a core belief. Those who believe that I can't learn anymore, I am what I am, and this is how I do things, routinely fail to move up to a senior level. To be gritty, you must scrap the theory that your abilities are fixed, because it's simply not true. Neuroscience has shown that we have an enormous capacity to change our brains and learn new skills as we age. The brain is plastic, and you can mold it through sustained effort and experience. Think back to the last time you began something new, something that made you doubt your ability to learn it, but you eventually did. Use the memory of that experience to disrupt any beliefs that your abilities are fixed. In the end, Angela says that learning to stick with something is a life skill we can all develop. By reminding ourselves that grit matters more than talent, and that grit is something we can all cultivate, we build the confidence to take action, no matter how untalented we believe we are. That was the core message that I gathered from Grit by Angela Duckworth. She has much more material to help you understand the science of achievement. I highly recommend it. If you would like a one-page PDF summary of the insights that I gathered from Grit, just click the first link in the description below. If you have already subscribed to the free Productivity Game newsletter, this PDF is sitting in your inbox. If you liked the video, please share it. And as always, thanks for watching.